everyone, welcome to the live stream. As always, a few little housekeeping duties to take care of. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Well, I'm pretty sure you can see me. Can you hear me okay? Let me know. Leave a comment down in the comment section. Let me know that everything is good, everything looks good, sounds good, and we are good to go. We have a producer tonight. Say hi, Todd.
Hi, Todd.
There we go. How did I know that was going to be the case? All right. Tonight, originally I'd planned on getting the lighting going. Hi, Dash. Welcome to the stream. I see we also have Ken in the chat. Hello, Ken. Welcome to the stream. Tonight, I was originally going to work on planning out the lighting and might still get there. I'm not sure. But I want to try to work out adding some extra support to the pylons on the 650 scale Enterprise D. I'm a little nervous that if I just leave it with the resin parts, that they are going to eventually sag over time. Now they seem quite sturdy. They seem quite solid right now. I do know that it has a tendency to soften if it gets too warm. Found that out the hard way. But I don't want to risk anything happening with those pylons. So I have some steel strip here. Gonna see if I can find a way to embed this into the pylons and at least take it maybe as far as the start of the curve. I'll bring the parts over and we'll kind of work our way through this. I don't know if I'll be able to bend this to go up the curve of the pylons. I don't know how possible that is or how well that will work, but we're going to try to add a little bit of extra support because I don't want anything happening to this kit over time. Clients are paying good money to have this built. The kit itself is good money to get the kit. I want it to last a lifetime. So that's what we're going to be looking at tonight. And I haven't started working on this at all other than getting the idea in my head. So we've got to kind of iterate through the R&D of the whole thing. So if you've got an idea or a thought or you see I'm going down the wrong path or something, let me know in the comments because I think if we hive mind this, might get a better result out of it. So let's see. Skull, welcome to the chat. Skull says, hi, Andrew and Todd. And Ken has assured me that he can see and hear me fine. So we are good to go. All right. Before we get started, if you are on the weight loss journey, watch with me. I am basically kind of stable this week. I haven't gained anything, haven't lost anything over the course of the week. So I'm pretty much exactly where I was last week, sitting at roughly 164.5 pounds. So I'm over the halfway mark. I've been looking to lose a total of about 50 pounds. I've lost now over 25. So over halfway there. And periodically throughout this journey, there are weeks that are just plateaus. Don't lose anything. Don't gain anything. But if you were to plot all of the weighings over the course of a chart, you would see that the trend is down, which is great. So let's see. Dash says aluminum bar should be strong enough and much easier to bend and shape for what you're doing. It would definitely be a lot easier to shape. The thing is that the other support I'm using in the armature is steel. So if I can keep those materials the same, it makes welding those together a little easier. So yeah, that's why I'm going with that. I don't think I'll need to take it up the curve. I think if I can, well, let me get the part on the bench so that you can see what exactly I'm talking about. All right. It's around here. Oh, it's just behind me. It's just behind me. So let me get on the bench. I should probably grab this so you can see just exactly what I'm talking about. So let me get this situated on the desk. Let me get my cameras switched over. Now, my screens are in different locations right now, so bear with me just as I find what I am looking for. So, all right, here we go. We're going to switch over to desk cam with me in the center. There we go. And clearly, I forgot to resize my camera up in the corner. So you're just going to have to deal with black bars above and below because it's a 4K signal right now, which is a slightly different aspect ratio. All right. So we have, let me slide this over a little bit. We have the secondary hull, the bottom part. We have the armature. Don't worry, I still have to get around to cleaning this up and giving it a coat of primer on there to protect it. Ken says, are you telling me that I am going to have to learn how to weld to build my Excelsior? I'm not sure how the metal armature goes together. It looks like it fits together and will hold itself under its own design, I think.
I was going to say, it comes with one, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes with an armature. Let me see if I can actually pull that up, and we might be able to answer that question. One moment, please, while I find the video and share it. Okay. Can you hear that?
Dash says it could be bolted together if you have the space.
Yeah, so you don't need to hear the narration on it. So let me share my screen and kind of skip ahead to the part where they show the armature. Okay, so they show it a little bit back. I feel like I'm not backing it up at all. Oh, I went way too far ahead here. Okay, this is where they are building it. We'll just kind of ride this out here for a moment. Ken says, but for the nacelles.
Yeah, they have uplifted corners there.
The rest looks like it screws together. Yeah, so let's just check the video here. Here's the armature. And looks like it all kind of slot fits together. Oh, of course, they're not going to show them putting it together. So I would say that it'll hold itself together. Some parts are screwed together. But if you want just a little bit of extra security, it might even just be worth putting some epoxy in. But I really won't know until I get my hands on it and see. But it looks like it all goes together without having to, yeah.
Yeah, like that big piece there, that's metal, right? The cross brace that looks like for the nacelles?
Yeah. So that, can you see my mouse on here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this piece here is the lower half of the pylons, and it's been metal printed.
Oh, I got you.
So this piece goes on top, and that supports the nacelles. What we're concerned about with the big Excelsior and B is that, let me just go back here. What we're concerned about with that is that the nacelles are going to be probably something like this long, and they're spindly. Like they're much narrower than other ships, right? Yeah, you see them screwing parts of it in, but other parts look like they just slot and fit. The nacelles are very long, very narrow, and there's no armature support inside. So we'll probably have to design a metal piece to sit in the bottom. There's the exploded parts image somewhere of the Excelsior. Let me just see if I can find it here quickly. I'm just having to scroll through. Actually, I've got a. There is a picture on the beginning of the video. Let me share this. So the pylon, sorry, the nacelles have a bottom piece, which is a benefit. The Enterprise E, if you've ever built the 1400 Enterprise E, there's side halves that go together and make getting anything in the nacelles really difficult, which getting lighting in those nacelles is really difficult because they're side halves that go together, whereas like the Enterprise D are bottom half and top half. So you can build everything into the bottom half and then put the top half on. So these are done the same way.
If you look at these pieces, though, the crossbar at the back has two separate pieces. So it feels like the metal goes in between those. That's not the same piece of metal.
So what you're seeing here is one of their test fires, and not the production kit.
I got you.
So this piece here is made in metal on the production kit.
Okay, gotcha.
And then this is a cap that goes over top, so you can run your wiring between to go up to the nacelles. But then you've got these are the bottoms of the nacelles, which is nice because they create a building plate for all of your wiring and lighting and all that kind of stuff inside. So what I'm thinking is we might need to attach, put a metal piece. Oh, I clicked on the screen. Oh, wait, no, never mind. I'm seeing my mouse on the StreamYard screen in front of me, and I'm thinking I'm clicking on that when it's over on another screen. So I'm thinking we will put a metal piece in the bottom of the nacelle and really secure it in there. I'll have to look at these pieces in person because it might be worth actually putting a physical fastener in there to secure the metal piece down, and that will just keep the whole nacelle level the whole time. So the ends, especially the back end of the nacelles, won't start to droop down over time. So it won't warp. It'll keep the whole thing level. So that's what I'm thinking. But as always, you don't know until you get your hands on the parts. In any case, what they're showing here is actually the Enterprise B parts, which is what I'm going to be.
The smaller ones have metal as well?
So let me just see if, so here is the picture of the, let me zoom out on this a little bit here. One moment, please. Please stand by while we complete the action you've requested. Okay, I'm going to zoom. That's not how I'm doing it. I'm doing it this way. There we go. Let's bring that up a little bit. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to turn my face off. There we go. So here are the three sizes of the Excelsiors. So the 650 is the smallest. It does not have a metal armature that comes with it. But the 460, here, let me put my mouse over on this screen. So this one here does not get an armature, but the 460 and the 350 does. But look, so this here is in scale with the 650 Enterprise D. Like, as far as the 350 being beside the 650, what they would look like side by side, size-wise. And the nacelle goes all the way basically to the front of the bridge. That's how long those nacelles are. And so much of them are behind the support. So we don't want the back end drooping over time. So I think if we secure a metal plate, just a thin metal strip in the bottom of those nacelles, then they should be good over time for the life of the model. That's what I'm thinking. Again, we'll find out once I get the parts in hand. So where are we with chat.
We're good.
No, Ken, no problem on the tangent. That's just a service we provide here. We go on all kinds of different tangents and rarely get the work done that I plan. So we're good. So getting back to the Enterprise D here, the 650. So this piece, if you're familiar with the 6-foot studio model, it actually has this pattern underneath. And so they've used this pattern to create the join point for the pylon piece to the secondary hull, like this. And if I flip it over here, you see that pattern, which I'm not sure if you caught that pattern on your pictures or not.
You know, I actually took a few pictures of under there because there's just not that many shots of it.
Yeah. So they took advantage of the pattern that was already designed into the ship to create their join for this part, which I think was smart. And when I was getting this made up, and ignore the grungy looking weld job, that's going to get painted over, and that's just because we're not professionals here when it comes to welding. I needed to add in I needed a way to secure this piece to the steel plate that was already installed into the model. And so it was easier to pre-attach this arm to this steel strip and then tack that steel strip down so that we could get the placement of everything just right. And I mean, it's still a little bit, the arm is still a little bit wonky, so we kind of have to align things up just however they align. So each armature is going to be aligned just slightly different, but it'll all work for each individual kit. The benefit was I was able to extend the steel piece out the back end to the pylon section, and my plan was that this would just help with this joint to secure the pylon section to the secondary hull, and not just relying on the seam here and the attachment of the upper secondary hull here. I mean, it probably would have been fine, but it's nice to have it attached to the armature as well. But what I was looking at today is that I can take some more of this steel strip and run it this way. And I don't think I need to take it up the curve. I think, and this is where the hive bind comes in, I think if I take it just to where the curve starts and embed it, because it's about half the thickness of the resin piece here, dig all that out, run it across, and then once I've got the pylons and nacelles attached, I can then just quickly go in, because it's already going to be attached, lined up everything, and just add a few tack welds on here and have it permanently attached with less chance of these pylons sagging over time. So this is where I finish ranting about it, and I ask if my logic there makes sense to everybody else. And feel free to chime in, Todd.
If it was me, I'd run it up the nacelles. That curve, all that weight is pulling on that curve, right? You know, even the frame in the fan home one, you know, it's got a metal skeleton that goes all the way up into the nacelles, and it still the nacelles try to pull it down.
Yeah.
And you don't want them, you know, a year from now, angling out to the sides, and you can't do anything about it because at that point the resin is basically melted that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so
yeah.
I can certainly bend the steel strip I have. That's not an issue. The issue, because let's see, this is 1 inch wide, and it is they're not giving me the thickness on the label, but
about an eighth.
Yeah, so it's probably about half of the thickness of the pylon. So I can shave off the top layer, or maybe the bottom layer. I don't know which side yet of the pylon I'll deal with. I think actually the top layer is better because there's already some channels in here. And if I take out the area just up to the channel that's embedded, that's less material I have to remove.
Well, I don't even think you need a full inch. You know, if you had half that, I think even a half-inch strip, and I don't even know if it needs to be an eighth of an inch. You might be overkill for the weight of it, right? I don't know how heavy the nacelles are, but you know that might be overkill. You know, where you can get a 16th inch thick and a half-inch wide, just enough to support those nacelles, so they have basically an internal skeleton.
I have a caliper around here somewhere. It's just over here. Let me grab it.
There's a ruler on your desk. It's flat.
Yeah, but the caliper is going to give me a... So we're looking at 2.55 millimeters. Which is 0.1 of an inch. So I don't know what that works out to in the fraction system. Well, about two and a half millimeters is what this is. Which is what I've
yeah, a tenth of an inch.
Yeah. I just don't know how that translates into the American measuring system because it's all like
well, 2381 is 3/32, and 2778 is 7/64. So it's right in the middle between those two.
Yeah. So like I'm not sure. Like the reason I'm avoiding aluminum, which would be easier to mold, is that it would be a little trickier to attach that to the steel.
I would think couldn't you epoxy those together at that point?
You could.
I mean, really, this doesn't even have. You have so many other mounting points that the crossbar is going to be on. That really, you just need to strengthen the pylon. It doesn't have to attach to the skeleton, does it?
Yeah, I mean the whole. Let me just put this back on. So, yeah, so we're just talking through and right. Kind of problem solving through.
Like, let's say you weren't going to do the pylon strip at all. How would you attach that to the existing skeleton?
So, it would be epoxy to the bottom via the joint here, going across here, and a lot being epoxied to the back end of this steel piece, right?
Right.
Which is why I allowed this to go back here, and I took it back as far as I thought I could safely take it. The other thing is I could, if I wanted to, not just epoxy this here, but run a fastener through the bottom, because then I would just putty over it once it's all done, and actually bolt the pylons as well as epoxy directly to this metal piece.
Well, and it's going to get sandwiched in by the top of the engineering section too.
Yes, and the top is also going to be epoxied in place there. So I'm not concerned about how well this piece is going to be joined to the rest of the ship. I want to eliminate the sagging of the nacelles over time.
Yeah, I'm saying that I don't think you need to worry about the crossbar having to connect to the end of that existing skeleton.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to have that I don't know what we're going to call that, the crossbar between the pylons. But
well, the crossbar we'll call it that for.
Yeah, the crossbar is going to be so well clamped in there to be held on by the rest of the ship. I mean, if you got a 1/2 inch or a 3/8 or 5/8, something, it doesn't have to be super thick. I mean, I think it's overkill anyway. And then just run it behind the end of your skeleton across the, basically extend that channel that you have. I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see that channel you have, just bringing it back a 1/2 inch and running an aluminum strip from one end to the other, I think that would be more than enough. At that point, you're just trying to keep the nacelles from drooping, not necessarily saying I'm extending my existing skeleton, right? Then you don't have to worry about how they secure together.
Yeah. So originally, like when we were working on the armature, I did play around with getting a metal strip that was thin enough, and so thickness wise thin enough, and width wise thin enough that would fit in this already created trench that could be attached, but that was going to be so thin and not enough depth to it that it wasn't going to provide any support other than the only support it would provide would be being a different type of material adhered to the resin to prevent it from moving. That's the only support it would have provided. It would have provided no structural strength in and of itself.
Yeah.
So
I think you're on the right track. I think you're the metal strip bended. I think Dash is also on the right track. I think aluminum is more than strong enough to keep everything straight, once it's bent. But I think you can downsize and still be fine.
Yeah.
A 1/2 inch wide, even an 1/8 of an inch thick. That's 0.125.
I did look
3 millimeter, but I think you can go less than that. I think that the thickness you have is fine.
Yeah, well, I picked this up today.
Yeah.
And I just picked up the same thing we used on the armature, thinking that it'd be easier because it's the same material, easier to weld it together. Because it's an electric welding process that we were using on this. My thought was embed this in and then it could be tack welded. But if it's going to be, well, it's going to be epoxy down inside the pylon within an inch of its life the whole way.
Yeah.
So it's going to be solid in the pylon itself. And the other thought I had was that I don't really want to put it on the bottom of this, on the bottom side, with these other trenches already in here. But if I put it on the outside, right, and put a piece, let me get this in camera here, put a piece along here and let it run underneath this, then I could run a physical fastener through it into the other piece. That was the other thought.
Yeah. Because there's multiple. You don't have to use welding, right? You can bond aluminum to steel even with super glue, but epoxy will do it. You can braze it. There's ways to do it that, as strong as that thing, your tail section there is going to be by itself. At that point, I just think it'd be easier on you just to get an aluminum strip and get it bent to the right angles, widen that channel a 1/2 inch, 12, 13 centimeters or millimeters, whatever, and just go back from there, run the wires in front of it, and that way you still have a gap for the wires, and just do it as a separate piece, and then you'll never worry about it again. And realistically, you could take the ends of that up into the nacelles and strengthen the nacelles themselves by attaching that with another piece of aluminum, right? You could TIG weld aluminum, and you could have a frame that's inside the nacelles as well.
Now, can you solder aluminum to aluminum?
Ooh, I know you can TIG weld it. Can you solder aluminum?
I don't know.
I would imagine you probably can.
See, I'm not up on all my metallurgy and what you can put together with each.
Yes, they make aluminum. They make aluminum flux and aluminum solder.
Because that would be a good way of doing it into the nacelle.
Yeah. It's just
all right. Well, I think
it's just apparently it's more difficult. I've never done it, but it's more difficult than soldering copper.
Yeah. So I think my next move then will be to go back to our wonderful Canadian Tire, grab some aluminum strip, and I can have both, and I can work with both and see how both behave, and kind of iterate that out and kind of figure out what the best option is going to be. I'm not going to dig into the parts until I have a better idea of what's going into the part, because I need to know how much am I removing, how deep am I removing it,
right?
Because I don't want to mess up the part. It's going to be a pain as it is to smooth all that out and make sure that the metal parts are below. Also, if I keep it, the other thing is if I keep it where this trench goes, then the trench covers are going to cover a multitude of sins.
Sure.
Right? So actually keeping it kind of where the trench covers are going to go might be helpful as well.
Yeah. And you know what? It might not be a bad idea to take that tail section with you, because you're going to need something to bend it around. And if they sell pipe there, it might be worth looking to find some pipe that matches the outside diameter of the pipe, matches the curve of the nacelle pylons, because you're going to have to bend that pipe around something, or that metal, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be good to know, whether it's, does it match your coffee cup? Does it match something? What's the inside of the pylons look like? So when you bend your metal, it matches, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that getting the curve right is going to be the hardest, trickiest thing.
No, I think that'll be the easiest thing, because you have a guide, right? And you just start going around the house going, okay, I need to find what this radius is. Don't tell me the first try. Oh God.
So it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty
close.
But
now,
you need it dead on, right? It's a couple millimeters make a difference. So
the thing is I don't, looking at this, let me see if I can get it in camera well. That tells me that it's not a perfect curve.
It's And I don't think it is. I don't think it's just like a perfect, because there's some angle. It's a graduating curve, but at least you can find things like that around the house to get an idea of what the curve needs to be, because you're obviously going to have to wrap that bar around something. So that looks really good. That gets you 99% there. You find a way to you get the width on that. That's why I was saying take it with you. Maybe you can find a pipe that you can vice up, and you can. Once you have the part, you take it and say, okay, let's find something to wrap the bar around.
Yeah, that's a good thought. That might be my job on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad I'm right-handed, because left hand shows off the full mug.
You just have to drink with the wrong hand. That's all.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm not going to start cutting metal pieces apart tonight, because I've got some more looking around to do. So I think it's time to move on to what I was originally looking to do in this live stream, and look at planning out the lighting in the that has to go through the whole ship. So just some information on that for everyone. Let's see here. We've got a chat first. Dash says... Go for it. You always want to go a little extra, because metal will always flex back. Yeah. And do a cold bend, not hot. You mean not heating up the metal to do it? Is that what you mean by a cold bend? Yeah. Yeah. So just some context on the lighting. We're using the inner light system on this, which you can find at scaleelectronics.com. That's Scale Electronics. It's kind of merged together. Oh, Jordan's here. We're not the same person.
Unless you type that yourself.
Unless I type that myself. Okay, Jordan, go ahead and type something. Go ahead and put something in the chat with my hands in the air so that people know.
Now he won't do it.
No, he's not going to do it. There we go, typing and talking. Sure. All right. So the way that the Scale Electronics Inner Light Kit works is that it's got 2 data channels available to run all of the lighting. Now, I'm going to have to talk to the one client, because the client in Belgium is going to be creating a base themselves. And I'll need to know if they need any lighting in the base that's controlled through the inner light system, because that's going to affect the pathway that the data cable will take. Pretty sure that we're going to be doing an LCARS panel for the other one. I have to confirm with the BC client to see if that's what's going to happen. Dash says, too bad you couldn't use the metal as the grounding side of the lights. I don't want to get into that because the armature goes through the whole thing. So I want to keep the wiring and the armature separate. There's lots of room in the pylons for running wiring, so I'm not too concerned. So the wild card in planning all this out is going to be the base. So I'm thinking we're going to have an Enterprise D MS MSD, Master System Display, for the base, along with your standard LCARS buttons and stuff. We're going to add the capacitive touch switches for the LCARS panel, but it was during Jordan's stream the other night where he was working with the touchpads, and I got thinking about adding them to the LCARS, and I started thinking about adding a wire to go around the perimeter of the LCARS buttons, then run to the touchpad so that it wouldn't block the light. 2 minutes later, Todd says, Andrew, you could run a wire around. So yeah, I think looks like we're going to be doing that.
Yeah, don't buy those cheap ones.
Yeah, no. So Jordan, I would have to get the, how do you say it? Is it Adafruit?
I think so.
Is that how you say it? Adafruit? But I would have to get those ones because they have a port on them for connecting a wire specifically for creating the capacitive antenna.
Yeah, they have a pad that you can solder right onto the pad. So
yeah.
You can solder a one-ended wire. It's not a loop. You can just solder a wire on there, and if you get anywhere near that wire, it's going to trigger it.
And I'm thinking that I should be able to keep the pad well away from the actual panel and just run the wire shielded most of the way, and then just unshielded as it's going around the perimeter of that button.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
And then if you touch the middle of the button, it should pick it up, and it should.
Yeah, I don't think it may, but I don't think the insulation is going to make any difference.
Well, I just want the insulation. I just don't want it to be touchable from other areas of the panel, right?
Yeah, you don't want those wires anywhere near each other, right? So if you're going to have 4 buttons, you would have them at 4 different corners and keep the wires as far apart as you can. Because you can trigger that capacitive switch through like a 1/4 inch of acrylic. So somebody kill it, some insulation ain't going to do anything.
Yeah. Now the touch panel controls are simply going to be secondary, because this is all going to be able to be controlled through a user interface on an iPad or an Android tablet remotely. So the touch panel LCARS is simply a secondary way of being able to activate everything. You'll be able to activate everything through a tablet, which is wonderful. I mean, if the budget was there, I'd just install a tablet as part of the LCARS display. But I don't think we're going to go that way. So
I will take care of it right now, Dash. I'll put it in sci-fi. I'll put it in links.
Yeah, he sent me the link for it, but I don't think he put it into the actual Discord
doing it
chat,
right now.
So yeah. All right, but so I'm not sure what's going in the base, specifically in the one where the client is building their own base. And the reason why they're doing that is it's going to be just logistically better for them to have the base built on that side of the pond than for me to build a base and ship it along with the model. So it's just logistically easier for him to have a base made in country there. So but I will have to make allowance for what he wants to do with his base with the lighting system. So I'm going to have that conversation. But either way, I need to figure out the route that the data is going to be going through the ship, because it would be really nice if it could terminate. So there's 2 data channels I've got available. So it'd be really nice if one could terminate in the nacelles, and if one could terminate in the saucer. Just logistically, that would make it easier rather than running data up to the nacelles and then back down to make it to other LEDs. I don't foresee a reason why I would need both nacelles to be able to operate independently of each other. I think that both nacelles are always going to be doing the same thing. So I will probably, when it comes time to go to the nacelles, I will probably split the data channel and just send one line from the data channel up each pylon. Because you can take the data channel for the addressable LEDs, split it into 2, and it'll control both sides just as if only one side is connected. So it sees LEDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the nacelle on the left side, just the same as it sees LED 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right side. And it'll control both as if it's just one. So I think I'm going to split that going into the nacelle. So it'd be nice to terminate one of the data lines there and then terminate one of the data lines in the saucer, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Todd?
Yeah, it's not synchronous. It's just sending a serial communication down the wire. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't send it to 2 places at the same time.
Well, I'm already doing that on the Enterprise E's with the
it's just a bus, so it's not like,
it works.
It's not like it's answering. So
it works really well. It just means that if you would want to make one nacelle do one thing and one nacelle do the other, you wouldn't be able to do that. I don't see a case point for that at all. So I don't think it's worth cramming another wire to cross over to the other nacelle. Let me go put these pieces away. I'm going to go grab the information package for the lighting. I'm going to grab some diagrams of the ship just to work out where wiring is going to go. Printed these off today, and then it's been snowing like crazy here today, so the bags, just so that the pages didn't get soaked in the rain, in the snow. All right, so I only need one set of these. I've got duplicate backups. Let me take the cutting mat away and let me zoom the overhead camera in a little bit. Oop, too far. There we go. You don't need to be, I can't. The file isn't high definition enough to really be able to read all the indications on here. We don't need those. This is just so I can start laying out where things are going to go. So I've got the ventral and the dorsal basic layouts of the ship. I don't know how accurate these are, but we're just going to use these to work on the pathway through the ship that we're going to take. And start marking all of the locations where we need lights. So if I miss anything, make sure you, I don't have my face cam on. You can't see me pointing. There we go. So if I miss anything, obvious, make sure that you leave a comment down below so that we can catch it. I should make sure that I've got my reference on screen so I can cut to that if I need to. Give me one moment while I find that. Reference photos and reference video. And could you hear that when it played?
No.
Okay, good. I don't want the audio to go through because what I've got going on here is just shots from Generations. Just enough so that I can catch the lighting as it goes. Because I'm going to grab reference off of each of these shots. Some of these shots are better than others, and there actually isn't a whole lot of the Enterprise D in Generations. It's surprising how little of it. They did the work to redo the ship, and it's let's see just how much time there is on this.
So if you want, I have massive digital images of the Sternbach blueprints.
Oh, you do?
I do.
That would be awesome. That would be helpful. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, gosh.
So
super chatty.
$4.99 super chat from Dash says, for the gas in your Tesla and giving us great content to watch. Fun. I wonder what the object is that's missing. Oh, just no. Well, I'll have to take a peek on YouTube and see what the object is that's missing on in the chat.
I have this. I have the image in Photoshop. If you want to share it, it's totally up to you.
But which image are you talking about?
The Sternbach blueprints.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just gonna swap ears here. First generation AirPods, so the battery is starting to not be so great on that.
And I did all the lights, so I know where they all should be.
Yeah. I'm on the wrong video. I thought I was catching my live stream. Where am I looking here? My channel. There it is. You know what? It just shows up as object in the YouTube chat as well. So no problem there. All right. Are you sending that through Discord?
No, watch this. Oh, I have to do this.
Yeah. Hmm? There we go.
So if we start at the front, we'll zoom in here. Woo! That one's white. Oh, where'd it go? Let's see, spacebar. That one's white.
Yeah, that's the obvious.
Yep, you got that one. There's a beacon on the bridge. I think on you can look on the model, but I think it's up here. I think it's in front of the bridge on the model.
We can look at the model.
You look at the pictures of the model. They moved it.
They move. When did they move it?
On the 4-foot model, it was where it should be because that's a basically will be an a collision light. But on what they have is a blinking beacon. Should be on the tallest part of the ship. So it was up here behind the bridge. I think maybe on Generations actually on the 6-foot model they have it right here behind the bridge, but it would have been somewhere up on top of the bridge because that's the highest point. But I know some people have been putting it out here in this open space.
Oh, that's totally wrong.
Yeah, it would be. It'd either be in front of or behind the bridge.
Okay,
so the flashing beacon.
It's right here.
Let me kill this real quick, and you can show yours.
It's right here
behind the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the 6-footer. So if that's your prototype, that's your 1-to-1, then that's where I put it.
And let's see where And it looks like that's where it is in generations here.
Yep.
That doesn't show it well. This is an old. This shot is from the show.
Yeah.
So we don't count that shot. That
yeah. There's technically. I mean, it depends on which screenshot you're looking at, but there's a beacon on top of the nacelle, or on top of the saucer, on top of the bridge. There's a beacon that's actually in the transporter under the neck. You can see it there.
Yeah, this shot here is from the show.
Yeah.
You can actually see the green hues on the hull. So
Yep.
they went through the whole effort of redoing the whole ship, and then they reused footage. So this beacon does not show up on the rest of the Generations shots. It's only when they use
it's very expensive, the ship separation.
Yeah. Oh, we might be able to see it.
That does give you a really good idea of the landing lights that are on either side of the neck connection. The positioning lights.
Yeah, you can see that it's behind the bridge there.
Yeah.
And that's as far as we're going to get.
That's a 12-foot model that they did just for the shot, so it's totally different.
Oh, for this shot?
Yeah, the Beridian crash. That's a totally separate saucer model.
The crash on the surface was, but this shot would have been the 6 foot.
That one. That's probably just the 6-footer.
Yeah. That's not the big one. Yeah. So I know where all the obvious things are, but what I really need to do is kind of plan through the journey the data wires are going to take through the ship. And I've got 1,000 LEDs per data line I can make use of.
Well, I would think you'd want to have a steady circuit, a blinking circuit, and then basically your phasers and whatever you're going to do, like PWM, right? Like, are you going to have it go to warp or anything for the nacelles?
None of that's on separate circuits. It's all on the data, on the same data. So you go into the
lights, everything.
Yes, everything is. It's interesting how it works. So
David James says, "Hi Andrew. Even though this is a generation ship, I'll probably be lighting mine in TNG style."
Yeah.
Dash
are you doing? So David, are you doing the? Is it the 650 you're doing, or are you doing a 14, or are you doing 1,000 Dawn Shoko? I've talked to so many people now doing Ds. It's hard to keep track of who's doing what. So I always have to ask every time.
Yeah. Dash says it was just a smile face, and that's where I put mine on my D roughly.
Yeah. Oh, right, like right behind the bridge. Yeah, it doesn't really point them all out on this diagram. So the way it works, and it's worth explaining how it works. So so it's essentially, let me grab the case.
Dave says yes, the 650 Helios.
So and I think it's Andy at Inner Lighting, and I am just second guessing myself now. And we should all know by now I don't want to misname somebody, especially if it's Andrew and not Andy. Scaleelectronics.com. Let's see if he's got his name on there.
You know, I have very large versions of those blueprint, the ones you have too. Those are the Whitefires. Those are the original ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Whitefires were done before Sternbach came around and said, okay, now that we know what this ship is doing and what it does, and after it's been in the show for a while, and he made new blueprints.
Yeah. I'm not too concerned about what these blueprints are, or I just need the basic shape to start mapping out.
Gotcha.
So it's running a Raspberry Pi. It's just a Raspberry Pi in a case here. And it's set up with 2 data control pins that you can make use of. Each data control pin can control up to 1,000 independent LEDs. And so what you do is you go into the online interface, and I did that on stream one time, and I don't know that I can do it because I think I need another computer in order to do it, because I need to switch over to Wi-Fi, and that's going to mess up the stream. So I can't actually do that on stream tonight. I'm not prepared for that. I'd need to do it on another computer and then run that video from that computer into my streaming software. So what it does is you go into the interface. David says, I love watching Phil and Lou's builds, but the one thing that can definitely be improved is the lighting, especially with those warp engines. Yeah, so they were just using Helios's pre-done light system. So the only thing I'm using from Helios is the kit itself. I knew right from the get-go I was not using the decals. Now, Daniel did send me a set of marking only decals. So he separated all those markings from the Aztecs and sent me just the markings. But like the Aztec, the wallpaper decals, they're inkjet prints. I'm not happy with the quality of them. So I am either going to get Keith at Cosmic Scale Models. Just a moment, since I'm talking about it. I'm either going to get Keith at Cosmic Scale Models to adjust the ones that he did up for Lou and Phil and go that route, or I'm also considering painting all the details. So creating masks and painting all the details. I think that would be a lot more work, but the ship is big enough that I think it could be pulled off, and that would make my versions of the ship a little bit unique too. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go on that yet, but I'm not using the decals from Helios. I am not using the lighting system from Helios. I'm not using the armature from Helios. Literally, the only thing that I'm using is the kit and the metal plate that goes inside the secondary hull, and I've vastly modified that plate that goes into the secondary hull as well. So let's see. Yeah, caught up on that. There we go. Caught up on chat. So yeah, so where was I and what did I do with that Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi? Oh, I put it back in the box.
Eric says, evening all.
Good evening, Eric. So, like I said, there's 2 data control pins available. Each one will run up to, it will address up to 1,000 independent LEDs. So you go into the user interface that Inner Lighting provides, and imagine a website builder application online. So something like Elementor or like Wix or something like that, where you basically take a template and you just modify it, bringing in modules and moving them around and building your website that way. Essentially, the user interface that he provides allows you to program your lighting in much the same way. So you go in and you assign effects that you can then adjust the effects, but then you assign it to a certain number of LEDs in the data chain. So you might have, so if let's say you've got window lights as LEDs 1 through 50, for example. And then you've got deflector dish. Maybe you've got 2 LEDs for the deflector dish. That would be LED 51, 52. You've got a torpedo launcher. That would be LED 53, 54 on the back end. Then you've got wiring going up to your nacelles. So you've got Buzzards, 56, 57, 58 if you've got 3. And then 59 through whatever for your chiller LEDs. And so the reason why I have to plan this out is because I need to know the direction, the route everything's going to take through the ship, so that I can then go and assign the LED numbers to those positions. And essentially, whatever effect you choose an effect. So if it's a chaser or a flash or whatever, you assign it to that number of LEDs, and you can assign it to like 29 to 32. You can skip and go 40 to 50. You can then skip and go so it can be any number of LEDs along the chain. You just assign the LED number, and it assigns that effect to that LED.
Seems like it would make sense to go on a linear path then, like start at the one edge of the saucer, go around the edge, catch the bridge.
What I'm thinking is that I'll send one of the data lines will probably take care of everything in the base first, and then go up and do like the secondary hull and terminate in the warp engines. And then probably the second data line will go up to the saucer and do everything in that section. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. The other option is I just send one into the ship and then have one that controls the display base. I'm not sure, but I need to figure that out.
Well, if you can control that many LEDs, why not have one channel control the whole ship and have the other one save you a wire going up the stand?
Yeah. Like I'm thinking that the I guess the one thing. So the challenge becomes where it terminates.
In the stand.
What's that?
Is that control box going to be in the ship or in the stand?
So it's going to be in the stand. So it's going to be in the base. I never like sealing a controller in the ship.
Yeah.
So if anything goes wrong with the controller and it's sealed in the ship, you got a major job on your hands. If it's in the base, then you just open up the base, take it out, swap it out. Dash says, if I did the D this size, it'd have to have a laser, smoke machines in the nacelle collectors, and a spot to open up to see a mini warp core that has moving lights. It can be done. So, sure, but the problem with lasers, and I've had to explain this a couple times. The phaser arrays, the way that they are designed on this era of ship, you would have to choose a location. You would have to create an opening in the phaser array for the laser to shine out of. And that would just look odd in the final completion of the model, because there's no fixed phaser turret locations like there is on the refit, like there is on the Excelsior or the B. Literally, basically anything from the C onwards has phaser strips. So don't think I'm not seriously considering putting lasers in the Enterprise B.
Well, then you have to have something to reflect the laser. You won't see the beam.
So you have to use high enough powered lasers to be able to see the beam, right? And it has to be under the right lighting conditions. It has been done. The other tricky thing is Federation ships have a reddish orange phaser beam, and red lasers are the hardest to see. So if you're doing like a TOS and you're doing blue lasers out of the TOS Enterprise, brilliant. You can see those. If you're doing a Klingon ship and you want to use green lasers, brilliant. You can see those. Red lasers are so difficult to see. So you have to have a smoke of some sort in order to see them under regular lighting conditions. So if this was on display at Wonderfest, you wouldn't be able to see them even if you did fire them, because there's so much light in those rooms, right? Now, there was somebody that had lasers in NX-01, was it? At Wonderfest this year?
Yeah. And they had to spray up mist to see it.
Yeah, because it was probably red lasers.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan says, I like the way Dash thinks.
Yeah, have it cut open, have a cutaway. I love it. And Donnie did ask, you're using Raspberry Pi instead of Arduino, because that's what came with the kit, right?
Yeah, so the inner light system. So if you're at Wonderfest, if you know where I was, the next aisle back into the room near the middle aisle, so the middle, kind of at the middle intersection. And I think is Andy from Inner Lighting was there next to Marshall Models, and so they had some demos there of the control system and just parts of the 1400 Enterprise D to kind of show you what you can do with it. That's the lighting system that's going into this, and so he does it all using Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is not the brilliant thing about this system, and I wish I could show it. I didn't think ahead, but if I could show it, I would show you the user interface again. But I'd have to switch over to Wi-Fi, and I'd have to switch over to the Raspberry Pi's Wi-Fi to get it working, and the stream would end. So I can't do that. But literally, it gives you menus to select the LEDs you want, the effect you want. Then it gives you parameters you can adjust. So back on my last live stream, the live stream where I was just playing around with this, I was able to play around with the phaser effect. I just had to tell it which LED numbers it was. And then I could adjust the speed, the trail, everything about the phaser fire effect and kind of tailor it to the way I want it. So it's a brilliant setup, and anybody can program the lighting they want for whatever ship that they're doing using this system. So I'm really excited to get playing with it. But like I said, I just have to kind of work out how I want to approach running the lighting through here. And that's why I'm taking the opportunity to talk it through on live stream, right? And it's nice to have Todd here to kind of put some input and to see input from the chat. Donnie says, I saw their booth, but I didn't realize it was a Raspberry Pi. Yeah. That was one of the first things I asked, what the controller was that he was using.
And honestly, I think that's just preference. I mean,
yeah,
the Raspberry Pi is like the tiny computer versus, like a script machine. I mean, basically that's what the Arduino is.
Well, and they do different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like they excel at different things than each other,
yep.
Right? So one does some things better, one does other things better. And Danny, who's been programming the Arduinos for me, is looking into using both and harnessing the best parts of both in order to make the best effects possible. So I'm not sure how he's like the progress he's been able to make on his research there. So Donnie says, so you could buy one of those control boxes and use your own RGB light strips. Yes. So they have to be addressable LEDs, and you want to make sure that you're using the same family of addressable LEDs. So there's a couple different protocols, and you just want to make sure that all of your LEDs that you're putting in are the same on the same data line, are the same protocol, right? So I don't remember off the top of my head what all those are, but it's color order and chip type or something like that. So you just have to make sure that all of your LEDs that you're using all work together on the same protocol. Otherwise, you're going to get some funky stuff going on with the LEDs and coloring and function. Just equals our addressable RGB. Got it. It was a busy day. We had some technical issues at work I had to deal with. I had to work today when I don't normally work on Saturdays unless we have events. And our presentation software just would not open this morning. They had a global issue. So we, by the time we figured out what it was and found the fix for it, and got it all working, they sent an email out to everybody telling them how to fix it. So that was fun. So my brain is a little bit mush. Addressable RGB. Got it. Yeah, so as long as you've got your data pin on your LEDs and you can address those LEDs and they all function on the same protocol, you're good. The kit, did I close it down? Let me just see here. I think I just closed the tab down that I had Scale Electronics open on. Let me show you I need to fix the zoom on this window before I share it. Give me one moment. Reset and reset and reset, reset.
Eric would like to know if you let Ian touch your presentation software. Is that what the problem was?
So what was that?
He wants to know, did Ian touch your presentation software?
Oh, it's not automobile dealer software or anything like that. All right, I think I've got this resized properly. So let me share the screen here. And let me take my face out of the way. So this is scaleelectronics.com. Scale Electronics is SCAL Electronics. So SCALECTRONICS.com. I kept getting it wrong, thinking it was scaleelectronics.com, and I kept getting the wrong website. Don't do that. So yeah, let me just see the yeah, you can there are themed control panels that you can put onto a tablet and control everything from your themed control panel, which is kind of cool. Like there's one for an Enterprise E, so you can control everything through the tablet. That's really nice. They're going to be back at Wonderfest, and that's where the Enterprise D is going to be hosted. I'm trying to remember how much it is. So you can do up to 2,000 independent LEDs, 1,000 on each data controller. You just set it up through a web browser. Unlimited scenes, which is cool. So it doesn't matter how many scenes of effects you have. That's fine. Let me click on, I can't click on buy now. Oh, here we go. So the controller itself is $135 on sale right now. So it is pricier than a Tenna Controls board would be to use in your ship, and I'm pretty sure that this is USD here because I chose US Canada. Yeah, USD. And they've got a simpler one if you don't need that many effects. So they do have a cheaper one, but the one that does everything is $135. I don't know what Tenna Control boards are going for right now, but you definitely have a lot more control over what you can do than just whatever you just go with whatever Ralph's put in his kits. You can get a starter kit. There's a bunch of other things you can get with it. One thing that I did get is the expansion board so that I can run dumb LEDs and control them as if they were addressable LEDs. So I do have that because I'm going to be able to control the flashers, the 0402 SMDs using that. So I did get that. Yeah, so I just came to the website because I couldn't remember what the pricing on them was. And you can get I went past it. I hit the scroller button by mistake. You can get a starter pack. So you get the controller plus a bunch of other stuff for a bit more of a price there of $170. So that gives you an idea of the actual cost to be able to do this. I mean, there is a cost associated, but it is very cool what you can accomplish with it. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the approach I'm going to take. So I do know that the post is literally pretty sure. Let me just grab the lower part the lower secondary hull part that's not attached to a I can't talk today. I can't word. Let me get a lower secondary hull piece that's not attached to the armature and the base to look at. So this is where the post goes in, obviously. So I'm pretty sure that that basically intersects the lower phaser array on the secondary hull. So just for placement, for an idea on placement there. So we're going to need to figure out if I run one data line, then what I'm probably going to have to do is run it into the saucer first. And anybody in the chat, you can tell me if my thinking process doesn't seem right here. Eric, thank you. Says and the I can't talk today will probably make the sound effects bored. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If I only run one data line up into the ship to control all of the lighting, then I'm thinking I'm going to have to run into the saucer first.
If you want to end it in the nacelles, yes.
So that I can end it in the nacelles. I think that's probably going to make the most sense. So what I will probably have to do is run it up to the saucer first. And I'll have to play around with the order of operations in the saucer. That's probably going to be determined by, I think it's in here. Yeah. If I don't have to take it out of the packaging, I'm not going to. But this is the expansion board, which is going to allow me to control the 0402 SMD flashing lights just as though they are smart LEDs. So as far as the Raspberry Pi is concerned, they're addressable LEDs. So I'm not sure where yet in the sequence that has to go. But it doesn't necessarily have to, like this will probably go in the well, it'll probably have to go in the ship. But maybe I'll try to strategically place it somewhere where.
Well,
actually, I
mean, if it makes you feel any better, all the lights blink. I can't talk now either. Should blink in sequence, right? So
yeah,
there's like the blink or the beacons.
Yeah,
and all the beacons blink at the same time. So you really only need one wire. You need one. I don't know. You probably put that in the base. You just have a beacon wire. But
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to have to be in the data chain.
So
right?
Why can't that still be in the base?
It
the data
could.
chain
So I'll
just
just
goes
have
through
to.
that and goes up into the ship for the rest of the stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 1-inch pipe.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to have any risk of not being able to fit wiring.
I understand. That's why I'm saying it that way. You don't have electronics in the bottom. You just run your beacon circuit down to that board that's in the base. It's just one more wire.
And maybe, so if I'm going to run one data line through the ship and then the other data line is going to control everything in the base, then maybe I tag this onto the end of the data chain in the base. So it does everything in the base, and then it just runs the line up for the flashers in the ship.
You could, yeah. You could do
that makes sense?
Either way. I mean, either way, that you have a data line going up into the ship, right? But I was thinking if you have two circuits, that you'd have one for the board, or two control circuits, one for the base, and that's all it does. It does everything on the base. Everything in the base is wired to it. It's done there, and then you have the ship data line would go through that board, still in the base, and then up to the ship, and then you have a beacon line connected to that board, and that's your blinking.
Okay.
See what I mean? If you're not going to do a startup sequence and you're not going to do all that jazz, Well,
you can.
Yeah, then why do you need that board? If
What do you
everything's
mean?
addressable, what does that board do if you just?
So
Because otherwise you're daisy chaining all the lights together, right?
yeah, but the 0402 SMDs are not addressable.
So that's what that's for.
Yeah, so it's going to control the 0402 SMDs, and so it will allow the Raspberry Pi to control the 0402 SMDs the same, just as if they are addressable LEDs.
Okay.
Right. So,
yeah,
but
do
I could.
Do you have some highlighters? Some different color highlighters? Pink, yellow, green.
I do.
Maybe it's a good idea to start by let's mark all the lights on that on your blueprint. Which ones are steady? Which ones are blinking? Not necessarily their colors, but.
Please hold.
Hold, please. Hey, Jack. Welcome to Andrew's stream. Say hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
You know what I mean? Now, pick a color for steady lights. Pick a color for blinking lights.
So,
blinking lights is easy. Top of the saucer, top and bottom each nacelle at the rear.
Yeah.
Right. Underside, bottom of the engineering section, front of the engineering sections. Yep.
Yeah. The only.
It's in the wrong place, but bottom of each nacelle, the center of the engineering section. There should be a beacon light there.
There is, and I'm pretty sure it's a flasher.
It does. It flashes. It's the lowest part of the ship when it's separated, so that's why it's there.
Let's see. That would make sense. It's the lowest part of the ship.
Let me look. Do they even show it on here?
Yeah, it's a flasher. I just saw it flash.
Oh, no, it's definitely a flasher. I already did that on mine, but depending on what's in the way, where it exists is a little different.
Oh, I've already got those SMD, those 0402 SMTs.
Right, but where it's positioned, right? You're gonna drill a hole for it.
Oh, they're already in the. Well, it's not in this one, but it's already in the other secondary hull.
Yeah,
I know
so
exactly where it is.
Right. So you have bottom of secondary.
Yeah, because I had to put that one in before I attached the armature.
Gotcha.
Because then I didn't have access to it after the armature went on. So that's something I have to do before the metal plate goes on.
We'll catch up with chat here in just a second. If you want to go back and we'll finish the lights and then we'll chat here.
This shot's useless because it's the wrong ship. But it does show that bottom flasher.
Yep.
Here we go. This is a good. There's the bottom flasher. The one on the back does not. Okay.
There shouldn't be one back there.
So we've got upper and lower nacelles. We've got the one on the bottom.
You're still showing your TV screen.
Oh, just the service I provide showing the wrong screen. There we go. Okay, so we've got top and bottom nacelles. We've got the ventral secondary hull flasher.
And that's technically it. I mean, there's some scenes where the one under the Cobra head in the middle of the transporter emitter, that one, there's some scenes where that's blinking, some scenes where it's steady. If you're going off your generations, it's probably
that light is not present in generations, except where they're using the old.
It was on the other models. Yeah. So that's then you're done. Right, so there's your ship, the bottom of the ship, the nacelles.
Yeah.
Now your steady lights.
So we've got. I wish I had red and green.
You have a pink right there.
Pink, yeah.
Let's catch up with chat while we're doing that. Jack says, in my humble opinion, have all your boards in the base in case they need to be changed. That's what we're for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even up for debate. I do not risk putting controllers in the ship. Murphy says, put in the ship, you're going to be cracking open your ship. So I do not do that.
David F., this is new, says, did my previous comment about the NX-01 show up? I did not see it. I didn't see it at all. I see it on my phone, but it doesn't look like it showed up in the video, which I'm watching on TV. No,
I don't
again.
remember seeing it. Let me do a quick quality control check with the actual live stream.
Yeah, I went back up through this chat, but it's possible.
Yeah, I'm just going to check the live stream chat and then mute it. I just have to wait for a commercial to finish. There we go.
I see him saying hi, Jack, but I don't, even in YouTube, I don't see anything. You'll have to ask again.
Yeah.
And then David,
I don't see it on YouTube itself, so it actually didn't make it through to YouTube.
David James says, I'm fine just using the basic tenor controls board for the strobes. I only need something for the awesome phaser effect. Yes.
Yeah. But this does the full phaser effect and everything else that you want. And you can create your own lighting effects too that are completely uncanon. Yeah. So you could put it into Borg assimilation mode, turn everything green inside, right? You could put the ship in red alert mode where you get bits of red in the windows as if the red alert is flashing on the inside. You could make the whole ship a big disco party if you want to, right? Once you get the hardware in the ship, you don't have to worry about programming it until the end. The ship is completely done. Oh, very nice. It was your NX at Wonderfest. I used blue lasers. Okay. Just so you know, I had a table in Wonderfest, and so I didn't get a ton of time free to have a really, really good look at everything. And I sent my production assistant over into the contest room to film everything. So I haven't actually watched all of my own videos from Wonderfest yet.
I definitely watched it a few times. Very cool.
So I don't know if Aaron was able to get shots of the lasers or not. So I'll have to go back and see. So it was my NX01 at Wonderfest. I used blue lasers. I had a link to a short video of it, which maybe messed up.
Yeah, you can't post links in chat unless you're a moderator.
Yeah.
Just
go to, if you're on Facebook, find Canadian Starships on Facebook and send me the link in a message there, and I'll be able to find it.
He even talked to you at your table.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. Trust me, I don't remember everybody that I talked to. I would remember conversations more than I would faces or specifically names. Yeah. So did you put high-powered lasers in? I'm assuming you put high-powered phasers. Yeah, we're not putting real phasers into Starships here yet. I'm assuming you had to find some decently powered lasers to put in there. Sourcing them is going to be the tricky part. There is a Canadian company because ordering across borders is tricky too. They don't like to ship lasers across the borders. They think that people are going to attach them to sea bass. But
there's a whole conversation in chat going on about Dash trying to cut himself again with his sonic saber.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
Although we were wondering if you can cut flesh with it, right? So I guess Dash was our guinea pig. Oh, pretty high-powered lasers you bought on eBay. Very cool. That's I'm assuming you went with blue because of the visibility factor. Because when you go with red lasers or reddish-orange lasers, they're just really, really difficult to see. That's what I'm going to be considering when I think about whether I'm putting lasers into the Enterprise B or not. But it's nice on those older ships where they're a fixed point where the phaser beam is emitted from, because then you can do it. And you also have to get into safety when you're working with the lasers. With that, you need to develop a good heat sink for the lasers that are installed in your plastic kit, so that you don't have any heat accumulation issues. and you have to make sure that kids aren't playing with them, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of factors to take into account when dealing with the lasers. So something I'm definitely thinking about. All right, so we've got.
Before you forget, I would draw a line with that orange marker and get a pen and say blinking lights.
What is this? Yes.
Create a legend, because a month from now when you pull these out, you'll be like, what were these for?
Well, it's like when I color code wires and I forget to mark down what the colors mean, right?
That's right. David says, yep, I put red lasers into the Klingon Vorcha front and back because they were all that would fit. They're very hard to see.
Yeah. Well, if you try to use laser pointers, there's no point putting that stuff in because they're just low powered enough. Give me one moment. I'm going to try to see if I've got a green highlighter here. Green highlighter. So pink is going to represent red. And green is going to represent green. I'm sure that makes sense.
Now let's see if you get them on the right sides.
I don't generally have that problem.
Nice.
Others in the group seem to have that problem sometimes. It gets a little disorienting when you're dealing with top and bottom and they're in different
red and green at the crossbar at the rear.
So pretty sure
at the crossbar, the tail.
Yeah, there's the ones here.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure that the middle one here is.
It depends on which model you're looking at. Sometimes there's just one on either side of it. Yeah, it's tough to tell. And realistically, you can easily see the red and green there.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful. There's some of these shots, especially if this is the one where it's turning towards you and warps away to the left. That's a CGI shot they created because they had to add all the lighting. The bottom of this sauce. This was the 2-footer. Yep, that one. This was the 2-footer, and in early shots of Next Gen, didn't have any dorsal or ventral lighting.
There's this shot here, and you see the
yeah. So white,
red
red
there.
Yeah, red and green.
So I'm going to assume that the bottom gets the green and the red because that's what I'm seeing on screen.
Ken says it's not pink; it's aggressive salmon. Dash says it's blue. You guys are all colorblind. Yep, they probably are.
And one area where people seem to get the lighting wrong on this ship is let me go back here, the back end.
Yeah, there's a light on the top and the bottom.
And the bottom. Yeah.
And sometimes there's people that'll put just the light pointing out the back, and that's not right. It's on the top and the bottom.
Well, I think Phil and Lou just put one light out the back on theirs.
Yeah, and that's not right.
So, yeah, it's going to be the biggest pain to get that right, but I'm going to do everything I can to get that right because that's something that I dislike when I look at these things.
If you take fiber and cut it at an angle, so the end is 45 degrees, and then you shoot. It's very hard to show without showing my camera, but have the light shine into.
Go ahead and show your camera if you want.
Okay. Am I pretty? Oh, I got to take this off. So if you have two vertical LED or two vertical pieces of fiber that are basically touching each other, right? You put the LED here, but you cut these at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
right? And so the light comes in and almost prisms right up to the end, and then you can cap off the end with any color you want, right? You can use green resin or red resin, or you can use resin dyes or whatever you want to make a little ball on the end, and it'll be colored for
you. There's some thickness here. The biggest challenge, so it's not going to be so much getting the light to show top and bottom, because I can do that with 0402 SMDs. And so I can have the light right at the surface. So it'll be really bright, really clear, kind of just the way it should be. I mean, not too bright, and I'll obviously deal with the brightness through the use of resistors just to get it the way I want it. But the biggest challenge, and I've got these lines here, is because that's the pathway I'm going to have to take. I'm going to have to drill through here from the back end to get the channel to get the lighting there. Because then I can drill into that channel, top and bottom, and backfeed my 0402 SMDs so that I get them pointing in the right direction. Getting those things to point in the right direction inside is also tricky. So if I can do it from the surface down, makes it a lot easier. It's just getting something to drill that channel through here without accidentally bringing it out the top or the bottom. And
you need like a mini router. You can just drag it along the surface and just. Well, they make drill guards too that you can adjust the drill bit depth, where you could just almost like a little router and just run it across the surface.
I could just clean out the top surface and lay it down and then putty over it.
Right. Well, you can still, if you drill a hole through it for those lights, because they're not at the very edge, they're inboard a little bit. If you drill those out and then take two LEDs and literally resin them back to back, so they're pointing away from each other, couldn't you just run the wires down there and have that sit in that hole and then resin in the rest?
Yeah. I'm just looking for. I'm looking for this picture here. That's right on the.
Yeah, but they're not even with each other. I wouldn't take that as gospel. You know what I mean? Like they're not even in the same place left to right. So, I mean, if you had them a little more inboard, so they were just standing straight up.
Well, if I can, the closer to the 6 foot I can make them look, the happier I will be.
Yeah, but you should still even be able to do that. If you use back-to-back LEDs, one pointing up, one pointing down, run the wires down your single channel, fill the rest in with, fiber or resin, and then put a dome on the end. You can create dome. They make doming resin. You can make a little blob of resin.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, ideally, I would drill a hole from the end through to this point without breaking the surface here.
Oh, you're talking about without trying to do it without cutting a groove.
Right.
Okay.
One, that's going to maintain the structural integrity of this back section better.
Right.
And two, it's going to be less fill-in work and smoothing and all that kind of stuff, because I'm going to have a.
I still think you could do it if you cut out a little small cavity at the end there where you start the drill hole, right? And you just cut out a little cavity. You can put two LEDs back to back. Won't take hardly any room as long as they're not shorting out on each other.
This is the issue. It's a long way to go.
Yeah.
For one of these size drill bits. Now, so maybe what I do is I see if I can find drill bits this size, because this would be the ideal size, that are longer.
Okay, another option. Since these are just steady lit, they only need a positive and negative to light them up, right?
Yep.
What if you were to cut a tiny little channel along the back of that, or along the back of it, so you can use a much smaller drill bit, run the positive wire down one channel and the negative down the other channel. And then just cross them at the edge there. You just cut a little groove in the very back edge there, to connect the two LEDs, and then run a positive down one channel, negative down the other, and you can use a real small because you only got to feed one of those little tiny little 36 gauge wires down that line.
Just hold on for a moment.
Just a thought.
I think I lost my ear.
You there?
Okay, say something.
Hello?
Oh, it actually cut out. Okay, say something again.
Hello?
There we go. I didn't get any warning on my AirPod dying that time. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the nano LEDs, I mean, you can use magnet wires. So the hole doesn't have to be very big.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about the hole, you know, if you're worried about having to drill it big enough to run 2 wires down, you can do a single wire and loop it across the back. But
well, it's not the diameter. It's not the diameter of the hole going through here that I'm worried about. It's getting something that's got a decent diameter, but it's long enough to make it through. Because if I might just need to see if I can find some longer drill bits, and then just see if these will go into a drill press. And that way, I can just align it.
Oh, you're definitely going to use a press. Don't even try. I wouldn't even recommend freehanding that.
Yeah.
You got to get the angle perfect.
Yeah, so that it doesn't breach.
Yeah, and then you can fill out a little bit bigger end at the back. You know, obviously you have to fill it with putty later and smooth it off, but
now it's quite possible.
Yeah.
It's quite possible that what I'm going to actually end up having to do, which is not what I want to do, but I might just need to do a little trench along here and then just clear out the edge like you were saying. And then so run them both in here. I'll run all 4 of them through here, through a trench, and then just split the 2 red off this. The 2 red off this way, the 2 green off this way, and then get them into the proper locations that way, and just have 1 channel off the back, running down there. Because what kind of detail? And it's just flat detail, right? Let me just.
No, there's no paneling or anything back there. It's just smooth.
Yeah, it's too bad that there's no paneling because that would hide the detail better.
Yeah. But it's also you got to sand it smooth and it's good to go. You know.
Yeah. So because it's just smooth back there. So, but yeah, those are just constant on. So they'll just grab line power coming up from the base. So they don't have to be controlled by anything. They're just going to be 0402 SMDs going in there. And the tricky part is just going to be, how do I physically get, what way am I physically getting those cables, the cables, right? The LED lines there. The wiring on the 0402 SMDs they're like a hair.
Yeah, so no, I don't have to worry about. That's what I mean. It's so tiny. The wires are so tiny.
Yeah.
That it seems like you could easily run a 2 wires to each one pretty easily. And then you don't have, if you do it that way, then if you do it with the double channels like you were originally going to do, then you just run 2 wires to each one. You glue a couple LEDs back to back. You might have to drill a little bigger hole just to put the 2 LEDs in there that you could putty back over, but that's pretty much it.
I don't even need to glue the 2 LEDs back to back. I can feed them, so I can feed the wiring through the outer aperture, right? So I can feed it into the channel from the outside here, and then I can position the 0402 SMDs outward facing just below the surface, and then I cap those off with a bit of solar res to create the raised surface here, right?
Yeah.
And then they're right close to the surface, top and bottom. Yeah, it's just going to be, what route am I taking to get them into the hull? All right, so red and green are marked. I'm going to grab yellow.
Picture on the screen.
Oh, yes, thank you. Again, a service I provide.
Let's see. Dash says, wait, does that mean fill and lose or enterprise not quite right? Well, they cut some corners. They added some things and then they cut some corners. So, like, Phil put a picture out and every single one of his windows is lit, which I think looks very strange to me.
Yeah.
It was weird. I thought it was an accident. Like I thought he mentioned that he was going to close in some of this again. Like paint off some of his windows, but now it sounds like he's going to try to do it with deep dye vinyl after it's all said and done, I guess.
Which you might as well just have painted them from the outside before putting your masks down.
Yeah, I don't know.
They won't. That's one of the reasons why, like on the Enterprise E, right, which is just sitting over here right now, which you can't see off camera, but I'll bring it in camera. So the Enterprise E, the 1400 Enterprise E, I've got base coat on this right now. And when I do these, I open every single window. It takes forever. But I managed now to get really good looking windows, opening them up. But I open up every window, but then I go in and I block them off from the inside. The reason I do that is so that when the model is off, every window has the same clear material in the window. So when the lights are off, they all look the same. If you go through and you paint them black, if you just don't open the windows and you paint the surface black, when the lights are off, they look weird because you don't have lights coming out of the ones that are open, but then the rest are this really harsh, dark color. So I do it this way because it looks better when the model's turned off. And let's face it, 99% of the time, the model's turned off, right?
That's why I paint all my resin windows from the inside.
Yeah, so I block them from the inside. So when Phil is going to put vinyl on the outside to block them, when it's sitting there turned off, it's going to look really, really strange, in my opinion. But I mean, that's just my opinion, but.
Yeah. David James says, for my 1400, I had a single fiber optic running up and down with the red and green SMDs up against them. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. And Dash says, what about using a stiff wire or pin used and melt a hole vertically, I assume vertically through the resin? Yes. I mean, you can do that too.
I think we're opening our, I think that's,
I mean,
I don't know how that would react with this resin.
Yeah,
that would work with styrene, but I don't know. I don't think it would work with this resin.
Yeah.
And I think I would risk damaging.
I think you're on the right path. A vertical hole through top to bottom, so you know it's nice and straight. And then one feeding another channel going straight in, right? And then you just run the lights to it and do your thing.
So white navs. So we're looking at the front.
Yep. If you're going true generations, yeah, there's whites on either side of those.
So and I think it's just
you didn't color this side, did you? Or is there only two on top?
What's this side?
The top. You're on the top because you already put the colored ones on the bottom, right? These are the docking lights, and those are white on either side of those.
Yes, I haven't done anything on the bottom yet.
No, but I mean the top lights. On the top lights, is there three? Because I thought.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a quick look.
I think there's only two. I think there's just two lights there, and they were technically white.
There are four lights.
There's two white lights on either side because you got to think if you're docking with the ship, you see the bottom of the saucer, not the top. So that's what makes sense. The red and green are there.
Well, let me just run through these because you're going to see this on here at some point, I imagine. Could have seen them, but it wasn't clear there. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, service I provide, putting the wrong thing on the screen. This is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that one. I don't like that light. Yeah, there's two lights. And they would both be white.
Yeah, pretty sure they are. What am I looking at here? Yeah, so they're both
quote
unquote white.
Yeah, there's no red green there on the top of the saucer, just the bottom.
Red green.
Let's see. David James says, for my 1400, I had a single. Oh, I already got that one. Dash says that. David. Oh, here's where I am. David says you can also clearly see the one strip of lights running up their necks. I assume he means Phil and Lou. Hoping I can make my look lighting look a lot more even than that.
Yeah, the neck is going to be tricky no matter what you do. I think for the light to translate through the neck, just because of how thick the material is, there's some lights where you just aren't going to get light. Some windows where you just aren't going to get any light through. I think you're just going to have to pack it as full as you can of lights in the neck. And
you know what I did for my neck? I ran, since the spine at the back of the neck doesn't have lights right above the main impulse engine, I actually ran my LED strip around the interior of it, down the front of the spine and the back of the spine and along the bottom, facing inward, and let all the splash light fill the windows.
So the neck part is very thick, and this is the space you have inside.
Yeah. But if you see how the inside on the back of the spine, there's no windows. It's flat. So I ran it up, going up the facing inward.
The neck, the armature is going to be there.
Support goes in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
So it's going to be a challenge, and there's not much blank spot on the sides where I can put LEDs facing each other.
Paint the interior silver. Bounce the light around best you can.
Yeah. Well, I will pack what lights I can in there, and what you see is what you get. It's just that,
you know what, though? I think even if you put lights on the front of the support and the sides of the support inside the neck, if there's room, you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to pack what I can in there and hope for the best.
Yeah. Jack says, is that 1400 scale? Nope. Can't answer for him. 1/650 scale. Here comes the comparison. Yeah.
One of my just screen management issues is making sure my mouse is on the right screen.
650.
Here's the scaling of it, right? So I'm going this way, backing up so the whole thing gets in frame.
Do you have your 1400 to show compared to it?
Yes, I do.
Jack says, the one in the shot talking about the window. There's a 1400.
There's a 1400 in comparison. Left is right, right is left.
They're basically the same. Yeah, Donnie, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, the question is since you can put the support rod, because you're going to mount slide the saucer onto the front of the rod, right? So that means the support rod is in the neck already. Can you attach lighting to the neck support rod of the 650?
Yeah, lighting is definitely going to be on the going to be mounted to the metal armature arm that's going up. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. That. Let me grab a metal piece here. So yes, the back of this is probably going to be pretty close to the back of the neck, and but I will get lighting on the sides and the front, and I'll just try to get as much. I'll use the super high density LED strip and get as many in there as I can fit, and try to just light it as best I can.
Well, and if you have to wrap a little fiber fill or something around it just to help diffuse that light so you don't have like hot spots, maybe not a bad idea. And it'll keep your wires from getting close to a window so you don't see them.
Yeah, well, I'm not too concerned about hot spots just because of how small those windows are on the neck. I don't think that we're going to have to worry about too much like twinkle transfer through those.
Jack says, I have to order one. No way the wife will let me have the 650 scale. No place to put it. Yeah, Dash, that's always an option too. It's great. Aluminum foil duct tape, aluminum tape. It's great for a reflector.
All right, so white front, sides.
Two there, and one above the rear torpedo launcher. I hate that light, but it's on the model, so.
Yeah. It's there. Am I missing anything on the top?
There are some shots, and you can actually see them on the white fires. There are some shots where there's a light behind the SARD collectors, behind the EF girls. You can see the little circle. No, in front of that. But I've never. No, you can see the little circle. No, to the right and down a little bit. Right behind the grills, not the warp grills. The accordion neck.
Yeah, right here, where my index finger's pointing.
Yeah, it's that little circle. Yes, that. It's on some of the blueprints. It's not on others, but I have never seen it on the models. So if it's not there, I guess it's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Because it's on both the Whitefires and the Sternbach blueprints, and that was a colored light on some of other models, like other Star Trek models. They use the red and green there.
Definitely not in. So I've just scrubbed through. That's the wrong thing. I've just scrubbed through and found this shot of the top of the nacelle, and it ain't there. So it's not going there.
Yeah, I've never seen.
It's there on the Enterprise E, but not on the D here. So.
Okay. You got the right. Yeah, I think that's it for. Do you want to put some red on your impulse engines?
No.
Or is this just for lighting?
What I'm going to do is, where is this part?
David James says the problem with Phil and Lou is they only had a light strip only on the support rod and nowhere else. Yeah.
Well, there's not a lot of space. What I might be able to do is, let me just see what I'm dealing with here. So I'm not going to be able to get this in frame very well because it's just too big, and this was not, and it zoomed in. But I might be able to get, and this tab here is not right, and it actually broke off the other one. What I might be able to do is, the way this docks here, I might be able to put some lighting underneath this section here, pointing down into the neck.
Yeah, because you don't have a top of a Cobra head to worry about. So yeah,
right.
You can shine light down from the saucer.
So I can put light in front and behind the Arboretum. Yeah. And what I might do is I might build a light box for the Arboretum, and just let those glow blue LED through there. And then if the Borg want to invade, they can turn them green if they want to. But I can put LEDs. I could put LEDs in front of and behind the Arboretum windows and shine those down into the neck, and that'll just give me a little bit of extra lighting going down in there.
That'll be really good for the windows that are very high up on the neck on the underside too, because those are extremely hard to get lit.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the impulse, what I'm planning to do is, and I'm only lighting because the saucer on this will not separate. Lou was not able to get his to separate. He tried, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the LEDs in here and wire them through into here, into the back, and then I'm going to backfill this with resin. So I'll probably mix some white, what's it called? The alcohol ink, I think is what it's called, with some clear resin. And after doing serious burn-in with those LEDs, cake them right in there, and create a flat surface to then put, let me just grab this here. Where are they? You guys don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to show you. Here they are.
Oh yeah, yep.
So I've got some courtesy of Hagen Miller. He made these. So I'm going to backfill. So install the LEDs. I'm not sure which type of LEDs I'm going to be using yet. I might just stick some 5mm addressable LEDs, regular LEDs in here. Backfill with resin with some white alcohol ink in there, so that it creates a nice flat surface here that I can then mount the photo etch to, etc.
Have you ever used the COB strips where the LEDs are basically next to each other, where it's they're encased in silicone?
They're not addressable. Right? They're not addressable.
Do you plan on doing like a demo sequence where you can just apply power to them?
They'll be in the startup sequence.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were doing sequences. Okay.
Well, I'm making sure everything is addressable, because the clients, once they get this, they're going to be able to log into the interface and create any lighting effects that they want.
Right, but doesn't that little board let you connect LEDs to it that are non-addressables, like your 402s?
Yeah, but that's being reserved for those flashers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, 'cause I can't imagine it would be any other color but red. So, I mean, you could put a red strip in there, you'd have nice even light, you still do your backfill on your resin.
But if they want, I guess, simulation mode, right?
I guess.
So I want as much of it to be addressable as possible, so the clients can play with them as much as they want to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially since it's so the benefit of not using the Arduino is that they can play with it, right? And they can make their ship do whatever they want it to do. I just put the hardware in. I'll set up everything that I want to set up with the programming, but they can then log in and make the ship do anything that they want it to do, right? Which is one of the nice benefits. So backfill with resin, install the grill, and the coloring that I'm seeing in your photos on the grill is like a plum type color. That is, yeah. So I'm seeing like a plummy red color on the grill itself.
Yeah, you know what I did is I actually took the red, because on my fan home it was red, bright red, and I actually just painted it with a layer of smoke. And that worked really good. It toned it down to that kind of dark, deep, like almost like a burgundy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need to look at the saucer impulse, which I'm sure you have pictures of, and see what the grills look like with the ship turned off. Yeah, you got. That's not the.
We're not seeing that, by the way.
Yeah, no, I just didn't want it when I was quickly flashing through them. So it's a bit of a darker look here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are never going to be on the model. I'm not lighting them because the ship's not separating. That's something that Lou and Phil did that, again, it's just one of those things that bothers me about Enterprise D builds is when they light all three and the saucer's attached. Because when the saucer's attached, those are not active. Only the star drive impulse engine is active, right?
Yeah. When I programmed mine, the user can select which impulse engines are lit.
Yeah. So my plan is, especially since there's a lot of issues with this section of the ship, with that section of the ship on the kit, I'm going to simulate what I see on your photos, just with it turned off. So that's going to be just a really deep, dark plum red type color there, because they're never going to be on. I'm not even putting LEDs in there. If the saucer was separable, that would be one thing, but it's not separable, so I'm not going there. So only this one will be lighted on it.
Yeah,
So
I just didn't know when you were doing your drawings, if you're marking, if you're catching every light that you're going to have to count for. That's why I said you want to mark your impulse engines, or at least your main impulse engine red,
yeah.
on your blueprint.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, I have a crazy busy day tomorrow. Crazy busy. And I'm going to be at work pretty much all day, minus maybe an hour. So it is 5 after 11. So I'm going to have to call the live stream there. So thank you, Todd, for producing. Thank you for being somebody to bounce some ideas off of. It's always nice to be able just to, talk something through and actually get some feedback. Are we all caught up on the chat before we go?
We are now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So thank you everyone for participating. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for helping me just to kind of think through some of these things. Oh, before I go, let me go back to this. And let me just show you guys those teeny tiny details that I've been working on putting on. It's white vinyl, and going through the studio model pictures, if you really look closely and take your time, you see these little tiny details. And they're like a blink and you miss it kind of a detail. But I've been taking the vinyl cutter and cutting those really, really fine details on my Cameo 4. And I tried doing that work, just making those little tiny parts by hand out of really thin sheet styrene. And I could not get the edges cut properly, like cut flush. And it just was a nightmare. And I kept losing the parts as I was working on them. That was
they look great.
So I went in and just designed them in Silhouette Studio, cut them out. I've learned a little bit about how to get those little parts off of the vinyl intact, recutting them a little bit with with an X-Acto. But yeah, I think they just kind of add a little bit of detail that if you know they're there, you're going to see them. If you don't know they're there, you're not going to care. But if you studied the model a little bit, and it's something that you're aware of, and you're looking at a build, you're going to look to see if the builder went through the effort to put that there. So I want to make sure that stuff's there. So
you're going to go back and look at the studio model and go, oh, it is there.
It is there. Yeah, it's like the missing windows on the Enterprise E. Once I noticed that there were missing windows on the kit and wrong windows on the kit, I couldn't ever build that kit without fixing them first. So it's like once you know, you can't just leave them out. So thank you everyone for joining the stream. Thank you, Todd, for producing. That definitely made my life a little bit easier tonight. If you've enjoyed the stream, make sure that you hit the like button. If you're new to my channel or haven't done so yet, why not hit that subscribe button today? You'll make me very happy if you do. But for now, my name is Andrew. This is Canadian Starships. Your producer today has been Todd. Have a great day, everyone.